Hi, I'm Charlie Collins, and this is the Donegal Sport Hub Donegal Daily Championship Podcast, brought to you in association with Kelly Centra, multi-award-winning store, Mountaintop Letterkenny, providing 24-hour service 7 days a week. And once again, thanks to Kelly's at the Mountaintop for their support with our podcast. Slightly different situation this morning. You're probably wondering where the other lads are. We hope to have them in later on in the week, but I just felt that we needed to do an update this morning on what's been happening and what decisions have been made. Earlier this week, the CCC in Donegal decided at a meeting on Monday afternoon that they would go ahead with the county finals scheduled for this weekend, the senior final and the intermediate, and two other matches, the junior semi-final and the relegation playoff for the senior championship as well. They met again yesterday, Tuesday, and reversed the decision in relation to the senior championship. I think most people agree they've done the right thing by doing that, and they've rescheduled the match between Kilcar and Naomh Conaill for the championship final until Wednesday the 7th of October under the lights at McCool Park. So a 2-week wait, but I think everybody agrees it was the right thing to do. So just to update you on the situation as it stands, Kilcar versus Naomh Conaill goes back until Wednesday the 7th of October. That's the Michael Murphy Senior Championship final, and of course defending champions Naomh Conaill taking on the 2017 champions Kilcar. 3 games are now scheduled to go ahead this weekend. The intermediate final between Cloghaneely and A. Rua Ballyshannon, the junior semi-final between Convoy and Letterkenny Gales, and the senior relegation playoff between Milford and Dunloe. However, the CCC have qualified that by saying one of those games may not go ahead and a decision will be made later in the week. One of the reasons that we've decided to hold back our podcast until later in the week, when we hope to have a clear picture of exactly what is going ahead and what's not going ahead at the weekend. So a doubt remains about one of those games. We're not quite sure which one it is. The Donegal Ladies GAA have also made a decision, and they've advised that they've imposed a temporary suspension of all games for under 12, under 14 and under 16 girls in all regions of Donegal. There will be no further games until further notice. And again, a good decision by them. So let's briefly look back over the weekend as to exactly what happened in terms of action before we look ahead to what hopefully will be going ahead this weekend. The Convoy Letterkenny Gales that was due to take place on Saturday evening was postponed and has been refixed for this weekend, as I mentioned earlier. The semi-final between Downings and Moville did go ahead, and that resulted in a 110 to 7 points victory over Downings. A deserved one for them. It was close coming up to half-time, but a Keelan McGroddy penalty put Downings in control, and 5 points from Johnny McGroddy during that game helped them to that 6 points victory, and they await the winners of Convoy and Letterkenny Gales in the final. The hurling semi-finals also took place at the weekend, and this year's final will be a repeat of last year's between Setanta and St Eunan's. Setanta had a 318 to 211 victory over Burt. That was on Saturday, a very comfortable victory for the Setanta, the reigning champions. Goals there from David Flynn, Michael Devine and Richard Key got the other one. Comfortable victory in the end, and a great defensive performance by them because they only conceded 1 point in a period between the 15th and 45th minutes in that game. They'll meet St Eunan's. They played Buncrana, a very tight first half, but 2 goals by Conor O'Grady and Kevin Keeley put St Eunan's into the driving seat, and they never looked back after that, running out victors by 217 to 14 points. So a repeat of last year's final, Setanta versus St Eunan's, and that game will be played on the 3rd of October. The hurling semi-finals in junior produced a unique final. Dunloe beat Setanta B by 216 to 16 points. Shane McGee with 1-4 and Richie Ryan with 9 points, top scored there for Dunloe. And in the other semi-finals, Cairndonagh produced an excellent last 15 minutes to beat A. Rua Ballyshannon by 114 to 11 points. So the final, Cairndonagh versus Dunloe, will be the curtain raiser for the senior final in a couple of weeks' time. Just moving across the Atlantic, the New York Senior Football Championship was between Sligo and St Barnabas. It finished in a 1-16 each draw. Why am I mentioning that, you're asking? Understandably so. The referee in that game was McCool's Peter McCormick, and one of the umpires was Conor Tinney. So a big Donegal connection there in the New York final, not for the first time. The replay will be on this Sunday. So let's just briefly look forward to what is on as we speak at the weekend. On Saturday in the O'Donnell Park at 4 p.m, it's the intermediate final between Cloghaneely, last year's beaten finalist, and Aerua Ballyshannon. These two teams have already met in the championship, Cloghaneely winning by 2 points down in Ballyshannon a number of weeks ago, but this is expected to be a cracker of a final, a 4 o'clock start in the O'Donnell Park. The relegation playoff in the Senior Championship between Donegal and Milford is scheduled for Glen Swilly's pitch at 12:30 on Sunday afternoon, an early start for that one. And the junior semi-final between Convoy and Letterkenny for the right to meet Downings in the final has been scheduled for Saturday evening in McCool Park at 7:30. Those three matches on as we speak, but just to re-emphasise again, the CCC have made it clear that one of those may be under threat of postponement, and they hope to have definite news of that in the next day or two. Just briefly looking at the Ladies Ulster Championship, the senior match semi-final, Glenfin take on Lacken from Cavan. That's in Glenfin at 2 o'clock on Sunday. And down in Mount Charles, St Knowles take on Rostrevor from Down in the intermediate quarter-final. Glenfin and St Knowles the champions here, of course. We hope to have our podcast available for you on Saturday. We're going to put it together on Thursday evening when, as I mentioned earlier on, we know what the situation is pertaining to that game that's under threat and what games are going ahead. So that's the up-to-date situation here in Donegal at the moment. It's all been a bit difficult and a bit confusing, but credit to the CCT. They've done a great job in running the championship so far. They were put into a difficult situation at the weekend in terms of deciding whether the championship final at senior level should go ahead. They decided on Monday, but I think made the right decision then on Tuesday to defer it for 2 weeks. We hope to have the podcast with you on Friday when I'll be joined by John Harron, Gary McDade and Alan Foley. They'll be giving their views on those three matches. Hopefully all three will go ahead, and we hope you can join us then later this week. But for now, thanks for tuning in. The Donegal Sport Hub Donegal Daily Championship Podcast, brought to you in association with Kelly Centra, multi-award-winning store, Mountaintop Letterkenny, providing 24-hour service 7 days a week.